Yo, random video review. Tom Fiddzy here with my review of Star Wars The Bad Batch episode 5. And this episode we see the Bad Batch kind of take their place within the wider galaxy, the new galaxy. And they take what I think is the most logical choice with them. They become mercenaries, or at least it's very heavily hinted at the end that they are going to become mercenaries. They meet up with this person called Cid, this female Trandoshan who was a really fun character. I always like kind of seeing slightly different Trandoshans from like the classic, like the Bosks, the bounty hunters, the ones that are just going off the Wookiee pelts and cutting them down. I really like that one in the comics that was like with that like guy with the backpack. She was really cool, and I really like Cid as well. What a cool, interesting character, a friend of the Jedi, which is weird considering that, you know, she's a Trandoshan mercenary. I wonder what Jedi, all Jedi or a few in particular. Maybe Quillen Voss could have been the one that Cid was working with. That would be really cool. And I like actually here that Echo, just very briefly, that Echo is kind of the galaxy-wise one, even though he was like locked up, you know, in a test tube for a long time and being experimented on. He's still the one that is more in touch with the wider galaxy, and that makes him a lot more different from Tech. So he's getting his little niche. He's the well-travelled guy. He's the world guy. Even though the Bad Batch have been all over the place, they've very much been like mission. Whereas Echo is, you know, he's the tour guide at the moment, which is actually kind of cool. But yeah, Cid, really fun character. It looks like we're going to be seeing a lot more of Cid, so I'm excited for that. She has like these mercenary jobs. She's the one that you go to with the mercenary jobs. You can't quite trust her, but at the same time, she seems kind of trustworthy. You know, she's very much that grey area character, and I like that. Cid is a great addition to the Star Wars universe, so I'm excited to see a lot more of Cid and what other kind of missions she has, because I imagine some of them could get quite dark and questionable. Even in this one, it's a little bit like, because you find out that there's a bounty out for somebody that's been captured by Zygerrians, and he's going to be a slaver. The Bad Batch were very much like, okay, great, we'll go save this kid from slavery. And I'm sitting there thinking, but there's still a bounty on this person, right? And you hand them into Cid, you don't know what's going to happen to them afterwards. You could go from one set of slave traders to another. You know, don't think it's all going to go squeaky clean. And in the end, there's a lot of teasing as to who Moochie is. Then we get some hints. We clearly see Bib Fortuna's disgusting long fingernails. How does he pick anything up with them hands? And then we find out that Moochie is a baby Rancor, which is great. It looked really cute. I love all like the little details, all like the drool coming off of it. It's got like kind of like gummy teeth. A really fun character. And they save him, and it's like, oh, okay, so they've saved Moochie, this young Rancor. That's cool. You know, their job, they were just getting, you know, like a pet for Jabba the Hutt. That's cool, right? Then I'm like, aren't Rancors meant to be, like, super intelligent, near sentient? And, like, when you look at the Rancor, when you look at Moochie in this episode, you know, it's bonding with Wrecker, the way it looks at Wrecker at the end. Good episode for Wrecker, we'll talk about that. You know, looks at like Omega, the way it's fighting, you know, using its mind. You know, it headbutted that wall to knock the person down. It's picking up rocks, using them as tools. You're like, yeah, this is like a smart sentient creature, and we know what Jabba does with Rancors. He enslaves them and he puts them in pits. And yeah, so did they free a slave, or did they create a slave at the end of the day, you know? And yeah, grey areas, I think that's going to be interesting for the Bad Batch to go into. And also there's a big question as well, like, is this Rancor the same one as the Return of the Jedi? Because it have a completely different name, the one in Return of the Jedi. So what happened to Moochie? Because if Jabba only had that one Rancor, then that's not good for Moochie, really, is it? Maybe Moochie died. But maybe we'll see it again. It's been set up now. We know what happens to the one in Return of the Jedi. But regardless, I think it would have been cool if it was the same one. It does make it a bit confusing now that is it or is it not the same one? You do have to ask a lot of questions as to Where is this other Rancor? You know, did they set up another Rancor so it can be in the story later on? Book of Boba Fett, maybe. Are we gonna have a live action Rancor in Book of Boba Fett? That would be really cool if they did it as like a giant Jurassic Park style puppet. Anyway, talk about the Bad Batch episode. Yeah, so that was cool. A little bit sad for Mochi at the end. It's like, bye, enjoy your life of slavery and killing Gamorrean guards in pits. But Fortuna was very like huggy with it as well. Like, how did it get captured? Did they capture it from Jabba or? I want to know more about Moochie. But yeah, the episode was good. Omega again had that kind of, I want to be part of the team, but I'm being told to be put on the sidelines, but I'm going to go against the orders anyway, and I'm going to end up saving it. But she's got a weapon now. She's got a bow and arrow, so she's making small developments. I really like the bit where she had her toy, and she painted the toy, and she was like, look, she's more like a member of the Bad Batch now, and maybe that toy is kind of like reflecting her a little bit. She's becoming more like a member of the Bad Batch. Need to get her out. She's got a weapon now. Get her some armor. And the Gonk droid has a name. It's called Gonky. Not very original, but the Gonk droid has a name. I was a little bit worried when the Zygerrians walked in. I was like, oh no, Gonky, don't die. But Gonky survived. Good. My hope is that Gonky survives all the way to the end of the series. I want a Gonk droid main character. Give the Gonk droid a Bad Batch makeover, you know? Not just the doll. Get painting on the Gonk droid. Give it some evil eyes or something and a big grin. And yeah, finally the good thing about this episode, once again, I mentioned Wrecker. You see, got a lot of stuff with Wrecker and Omega, seeing their kind of little friendship. I love that little high five that they did. But Wrecker once again was like, oh, I got a headache. It's like, yes, we are continuing. It wasn't just a one-off. He didn't just bang his head. We are continuing with that thing. And I'm surprised nobody, especially Tech, has been like, headache, chips in your head, crosshairs, chips. You come on. Can't you see the connection? Hunter was looking, but it's like he was looking and he was thinking and the cogs were turning, but he didn't say anything. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Hunter. I want the Gonk droid to survive to the end. Wrecker. Is Wrecker going to survive to the end? That could be sad, especially with how much he's growing and he's like connecting. I have to keep swapping hands, sorry. He's connecting with Omega. So overall, this episode was good. I loved the kaiju battle. I love that, you know, the Rancor versus, is it called a Basilisk? Those flying ones from Zygerrian. I should probably look some of this stuff up on Wikipedia before I press record. But, you know, the big flying thing. It was like Godzilla versus Varan. It was awesome little kaiju battle. Somebody had been influenced by the hype of Godzilla versus King Kong. And, you know, Star Wars does have a lot of big creatures. So more kaiju battles. Yeah, overall, I thought this was a really good, fun episode. Again, it was a little bit formulaic. You know what I'm trying to say? Is it, you know, kind of very like, we go to someone, we need the information about that person has a job, we got to do the job. We do the job, we get the information. It's weird, isn't it, that every time they go to someone and they want information, it happens to always be a job. Like in The Mandalorian and that, it was always that thing. There's always a job going on at that exact moment that you walk in, you know. Was Cid not going to hire anyone for that job and they just happened to walk in at that time, or was she just going to sit on it and wait? Like, it's always so convenient. If they arrived like a day later, would that job still have been there? But that's just, you know, one of the things you have to kind of ignore when it comes to storytelling sometimes. But yeah, overall, great episode, really fun. It looked really good as well. I loved all like the lighting and everything in this episode. Like, even though they were in like a bland kind of desert, it was like really bright, really cool looking. The Rancor was really fun. Kaiju battle was excellent. The stuff going on with Wrecker is interesting. I'm glad that they're sowing them seeds. It was good to see Echo kind of branch out and differentiate himself from Tech a little bit. I'm glad that Omega got her weapon. And I love Cid, and I'm excited to see more of the Bad Batch becoming mercenaries, because whenever you're doing that criminal underworld stuff in Star Wars, it's sometimes the most exciting part of it all. So, you know, with the Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and the Bad Batch, I'm very much excited to get more into that world, because it does mean that we can get more more popular characters back. I've still got my fingers crossed for Cad Bane to appear. You know, all of the other Clone Wars assets are being used, and I know that Cad Bane's file is sitting there, probably getting nice and polished and ready to reappear. So fingers crossed for that. Great episode. Bye.